Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Let's Slice Data with Saurabh. So last two videos were on Azure Fundamental program, Azure Fundamental certification. Basically, if you want to learn about Azure Fundamental and want to do certification, Microsoft certification, you can go through that. And I have compared like several process like Scrum, Kanban, and Safe Agile. So what are the basic difference in that? So that I have covered in my last videos. Today, I'm here to discuss about one new topic, that is oil and gas. So basically, I am working in oil and gas industry from the last 17, 18 years. I did my MBA in upstream asset management from University of Petroleum. Since then, it is with me. So today I thought that, okay, let's try something new, go through something which is very important in oil and gas industry. If you're working in energy sector or you're working in resources or anything, so if you are working in oil and gas, by any means, this is going to help you a lot. Uh, and even if not, this is going to help you to understand the oil and gas industry terminologies, which is very important. Why? Because, you have to know whatever industry it is, you have to understand their basics. And for basic, I have created this video called Well-Headed Data. Well-headed data is nothing but it is an identification of a particular well, oil well we are talking about here. I'm going to discuss some nitty-gritty, some important things here, which are going to help you in your interviews when you're going for energy or resources. So the people who are studying in oil and gas courses or something like that, if they want to understand that what is going on in the industry level in well-headed data, they can easily learn from this video. And for all the students, that what it is. So like for a particular person, there are several attributes which defines him, that, okay, what that person name is, what that person is doing. So let's say if I want to define myself, I have to give my Aadhaar card, PAN card, driving license number, address, where I'm staying, what kind of experience I have. Let's say in resume, I have to put all these things, right? So similarly, you can say the well-headed data is the resume of an oil well, how it is, where it is, what kind of attributes you have to learn about. Then only you can identify a particular well from a historical data. Regarding that, I am going to give this particular intro of well-headed data. So guys, remember this thing. There are two kind of wells, right? One is at offshore, one is at onshore. So I'm going to talk about only the uh, wells which are in there at the surface level, means like in the earth, not in the offshore, because offshore wells are a bit different. And I am going to talk about only the onshore wells which are there. So I will tell you one thing, that, okay, no well in the world is as vertical as we are thinking. Every well is a deviated kind of well. We have to look for the sedimentary rocks. Where are they? And we have to deviate our well a little bit. So from 0 to 3 degree or 0 to 5 degree, basically the well is deviated. So you can understand the surface latitude and longitude, and the bottom latitude and longitude are bit different. Because when you identify a particular well, you have to give the latitude and longitude value of that. Okay, so this I told you so that when we will talk about this later, so you will not get confused. And there are several kind of wells. There are oil wells, gas wells. Gas is basically is coming out of the oil wells. It's called flare gas, which we are just, if it is not so much in quantity, we are just flaring it. We are just burning it out. Mostly the oil wells are there I'm talking about. So I have seen these kind of wells in Rajasthan. If you go in Badmer areas, you can see for oil, for what else? There are so many companies, right? So all the oil wells are there. So you can see that. So please be in this video till end. You will get to know a lot of things. So let's start. So first is like unique well identification. So this is very important. That is called the API number. So when I joined the industry, so American Petroleum Institute is giving 10 to 14 digit number to a particular well. And this used to identify a particular well, that, okay, this is the unique number for that particular well. So let's say in a field, there are 100 wells and each well has his unique API number. And that is of 14 digits. So don't worry, I will tell you that what are there in these 14 digits. And in Canada or some regions, they don't follow the API number. So they follow the UWI number, that is unique well identifier. So that is called UWI. So this is very important Guys, so API and UWI number are the first introduction of a well. That okay, what is this well, where it is situated and all, you will get a lot of information out of it. I will explain the API number 10, 12 digits, what are they, and how we are basically going to work with them. The next is like well name and the number. This is also the specific name to a particular well. And guys, in oil and gas industry, they don't give names which are very specific. For a field I was working, it's called Keystone. I don't know how they have given the name, but Midland, Mid Alaska, Alaska, it's like whatever name they will give to a particular field, there is no basic certain reason behind that. They will give something as per their understanding for a particular field. Then the permit number. Permit number is an important document which you will get from the regulatory bodies. So in India, who is the regulatory body? That is DGH, that is Directorate General of Hydrocarbon. They are providing you the permit for drilling a particular well in India, in any region, whether it is Barmer or Mumbai High or wherever it is. So the permit number will get from the regulatory body. And in US, you have seen that American Petroleum Institute, there are several other. TXRRC website was there, that is Texas Railroad Commission. There also you will find a lot of regulatory documents. So there are some regulatory bodies in every country and they are giving some permit number for that particular well. So API number, UPI, UWI, well name and number, and permit number. So these are the some identifiers of a particular well. If these are missing, you cannot identify that which well you are talking about. Okay, so I told you that I will talk about the API details. The API details is nothing but the 14-digit value. So see how it is divided in US. The first 2 digit identify the state code. So you will understand there are how many states are there, 50 or something. So you will easily understand that, okay, which state this particular well is there. Then the next 3 digits is called the county code. That is called the county of that particular state. Next 6 to 10 means like 5 digits is the unique well identifier. So let's say a specific county, sometimes of the state, the older folders mean. So it's a unique number basically assigned to the well with the specific county. So state, first 2 codes, 3 is county, and next 5 is the unique well identifier. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 I have given. Then the next 2 digits is for the directional sidetrack. So let's say in a well, you know, there are several sidetracks as well. So there is one original well bore, then there are several sidetracks, 1, 2, 3. So you can identify easily that, okay, it is in sidetrack 1, or is it in sidetrack 2, or is it in sidetrack 3. So next 2 digits are like that. And the last one is the basically number of operation performed. I don't know, when I was working on that, that is called the perforation. So this is called the completion, 11, 12 digit. And then this is called, this is called a sidetrack, and this is called the completion. So whether we are working for the completion 1, completion 2, completion 3, based on that, they are giving this. So 13, 14 digits. So, but basically you have to remember the first 10. The first 2 are the state, next 3 are the county, next 5 are the unique well identifiers. This is directional sidetrack. And then these are the completions when I was working there. Now they may have changed or something, but recompletions, workover, whatever the number of work you have done in that particular sidetrack, that will be identified by this 13 and 14 digits. So this is the API 12. It is like your Aadhaar card. They will identify that, okay, Saurabh is living in which state, which county, this. And so same for the oil well. So they will do like this. Ownership and regulatory details like operator name, the company responsible for drilling and operating the well. So let's say ONGC, Reliance, whatever. So that is called the operator name. Lease name and ID, the name and identification number of the mineral lease under which the well is drilled. So this is the lease. The lease is there in that sedimentary rocks are there. So they will give it to you. The permit details, information related to the drilling permit. As I told you, permit details will come from the regulatory bodies. So these are the important things. You have to remember that, okay, what are the things which can identify a particular well? There are some more types. There are well characteristic which you have to understand. This I have already discussed. The well type is nothing but the classification of a well, whether it is oil well, gas well, injection well, or water well. So guys, don't get confused from oil, injection, and water. So sometimes what happens when there is a pressure is low in a particular well and the oil is not coming out, we have to create some injection well next to that. We'll put some water into that, or sometimes gas, inject, so that it can create pressure and the oil will come out of that. Then the well class, a broader categorization of well is like petroleum, water, geothermal, what kind of well it is. Well bore profile is important, like vertical, horizontal, and directional. I have already told you, right? No well in the world is vertical as 90 degree. it is deviated like 0 to 3 degree or 0 to 5 degree somewhere. That is called a vertical well. Horizontal well, I will give you the definition of this horizontal well and the directional well. So I will give you the definition. It's around 80 degree and more. So this all I will cover in the next slide. Next is total depth and true vertical depth. Okay, so these two are different. Why? Because the maximum depth reached by a wellbore, that is called the total depth. And the true vertical depth is the vertical distance from the surface to the bottom of a well. So this is the vertical depth, this is the total depth. Then the spud date and completion date will come. So permit date is the first date, which is not mentioned here. So permit date is the date when a regulatory will give you to give the permit that, okay, you can drill that well. The spud date is nothing when the drill bit touches the ground first time. That is called the spud date. Completion date is the date when we're completed and ready for production or injection. So when it is ready for completion, this is the last thing which we have to do, that, okay, completion and then perforation. In a given bracket, there is a completion, and then in that bracket, you have to do some perforation. You have to just do some blast so that the oil will come out of that. Plug date, the date well was permanently sealed and abandoned. So there is a life cycle. It will start like a bell curve. So initially you have to invest a lot in a well, then it will come to zero. Then you have to invest a certain period of time. Then it will start giving you something that is a trajectory. And then again, it will go down. Then you will do some secondary and tertiary recovery. It will go up and again, it will go down. So last date is called the plug date, when the well is permanently sealed and abandoned. So these are all well description that, okay, how do you identify a particular well? What are the description of the attributes which you have to understand? Total depth, true vertical depth, spud date, completion date. This all will define the well data basically. That, okay, how to identify? These are all called well header data. So you have to understand that. So this is example I have taken. This is the true vertical depth. Okay, so well started from here and it went up to here. This is some horizontal displacement because you cannot drill a similar 90-degree well anywhere. So this is called the true vertical depth and this is called the total depth. So sometimes what happens, this total depth is always greater than this true vertical depth because no well is straight. Because from the surface location, you have to understand this. Okay. The next attribute which I'm going to talk about is very important. That is called the elevation data, KB, DF, and GR. Kelly Bushing, DF, and GR. So this is important. We are measuring basically the height from the mean sea level of the Kelly bushing. Okay. Then the direct floor and the ground elevation. So let's say this is example. This will give you more understanding. This is the mean sea level. And this is the KB. Kelly bushing is there. So Kelly bushing to mean sea level. What is the total distance? That is called the Kelly bushing. That is called KB. And on this height only, we are measuring well all the distance from KB to MD. That is called the total depth or measured depth or whatever. So KB is very important. We are measuring everything from KB. Then this is called this is KB, this is TVD, this is, so there are so many depths. Don't worry about that, but understand about the KB, that is the Kelly bushing. This is the direct floor. And then there is a surface from there to sea level. So that is called GR. KB, DF, and GR are the three main reference datum from where we are actually measuring the depth for the entire well. The next is like well-headed data format. So let's say we have all these data. So think about Chevron or think about Shell or think about BP. They have hundreds of wells, they have thousands of wells, and they have that particular data. So they are storing that data in the form of tabular format in the CSV, Excel, or a LAS file that is called log, ASCII, standard file, then proprietary database format. There are so many applications where they're storing this well-headed data. Then there are the WIP services, WFS, well file system, allow the online sharing and access of well-headed data. JSON is also there. So you all from IT industry, so you can easily understand that, okay, how this particular data is stored, this well-headed data. So understand that, okay, how to identify a well. How can you say that it is an oil well or it is a gas well or is it anything else? So all these things you can easily understand by understanding the well-headed data. And recap, I'm telling reference datum is very important. KB, DF, and GR, completion date, permit date, spud date, total depth, true vertical depth, and the API and the UWI. These are the important things which you have to understand when you identify a particular well for the well-headed data. So this is important. Remember this. Then we'll talk about this. This is, I told you, right? I will talk about the vertical wells. Aim for 90-degree, but there are minimal deviation. Horizontal wells are intentionally deviate from vertical to angle greater than 80-degree to run horizontal through the reservoir. Because maybe there is some marshy land or something, there is some difficulty to reach to that particular portion where the oil is stored. So we are drilling the horizontal wells there. This is important. Energy, oil and gas, upstream. So first thing you have to understand about the well is the wellheader data. That is, and I'm making it very simple to understand this. Next is like light crude oil, and this I am going to cover only 4 topics. What is light crude oil? What is heavy crude oil? What is sweet crude oil? And what is sour crude oil? So just focus on the key pointers here. Don't need to learn everything. But the light crude oil is very important. Mumbai High is producing light crude oil. And what is the meaning of light crude oil? High API gravity. Light crude oil has high API gravity, that is 31.1 degree API, greater than that. Somewhere it is 35 degree also. The higher the API gravity, the lighter, less dense the oil. So gravity is more, density is less. So that is called the light crude oil. It can flow easily. It can distillate easily. And often it is called the sweet crude oil. Why? Because sweet crude oil has low sulfur content. So remember this, low density, low viscosity, so that it can flow properly. So API gravity is high, so density is low, and viscosity is also low. It means it can thin and flows easily. So you can understand about the light crude oil. So everybody wants this kind of crude oil, but it is very difficult to get in the entire world. There are few fields which are producing the light crude oil. They are often sweet because the sulfur content is low. Next is sweet crude oil. I already told you that low sulfur content, so less than 0.5%, easier and cheaper to refine. So if it is a sweet crude oil or a light crude oil, then it is very easy to refine that. You don't have to put FCC, DCC to crack everything because it is already a light one, right? So that is going to help you. Then there is a heavy crude oil. Heavy crude oil has API gravity below 20 degree API. Okay. So gravity is low, then the density, it is more dense. So high density and high viscosity, very difficult to flow. Means sometimes it is very, very difficult to flow in the Rajasthan region, the Badme region, whatever the crude oil we are producing from there, it is very high density, heavy crude oil, and heavy crude oil is like high density and high viscosity and high sulfur content as well. So basically it is not a sweet, it is sour crude oil. So sour crude oil is nothing but high sulfur content, more expensive and complex to refine because the sulfur content is greater than 0.5%. So it's all related basically. Heavy, so I covered light, sweet, heavy, and sour. So you are definitely going to get some interview questions if you are studying in a college or something. So they will definitely going to ask you. And these 3 are very important. Why? Because they are the world leaders. They are defining the terms on the basis of the crude oil. Even though we are moving towards that and now solar energy, wind energy, so non-conventional basically, but conventional, these are the leaders. Why? Because the benchmark crude oils are West Texas Intermediate, that is called WTI, a light sweet crude oil produced in the United States, primarily in Texas. WTI is the benchmark for North American oil prices and underlying commodity for the New York Mercantile Exchange, oil futures contracts. So this is important. That's why West Texas Intermediate, WTI. That's why America is the world leader. And now you know that it is one of the benchmark crude oil. Then the Brent crude oil, a light sweet crude oil originating from the North Sea, comprising a blend of crude from 15 different oil fields. Brent is the leading international benchmark used to price most of the crude oil traded globally, especially in Europe, Africa, and Middle East, that flows west. So Brent crude oil is also important. As I told you, it's a light and sweet crude oil. It's a light and sweet crude oil. Okay. Now the Dubai crude oil is also known as Fateh. That's why Middle East, I told you, right? Dubai crude oil serves as a key benchmark for pricing crude oil to Asia. It is heavier, has a higher sulfur content compared to WTI and Brent. And because of this, Reliance Refinery is the best refinery in the world. They are cracking the heavier crude oil. They are cracking the high sulfur content crude oil, and they are creating a best kind of outputs basically. So light and sweet crude oil is very difficult to get, so we are getting this heavier and sour crude oil, and we are working with that because it is for Asia. So these three are the benchmark crude oils. Definitely, they are going to define the world. So, as I told you, as I was talking only about the well-headed data, just to understand that, okay, what kind of data it is. I hope you are there till end to understand this particular thing. So thank you very much for watching. I hope it is going to help you in your interview. Keep watching, share it with your friends. Thank you everyone. Bye for now.